I've read the deal. I've read the 147 paragraphs. I've written on it. I've examined them. It is utterly incoherent and contradictory. And it opens the way to 5 to 10 years of what I've called the title of my next book, Rex Eternity, where she's offering to utterly overwhelm Britain. Endless bad-tempered negotiations, rows with the 27 EU member states, their lobbies and the producer interests in each country, and of course, continued bickering and division in British politics. It's a disastrous deal. Any intelligent person would repudiate it.
Well, it seems that the majority of members of Parliament agreed with you last night. Do you see, however, that the road that Parliament has now embarked on in terms of the Brexit process could be seen in two ways? Either, yes, at perhaps trying to get the best possible Brexit deal, but also perhaps at simply trying to frustrate or stop the Brexit process altogether. Do you not think there might be a slight disconnect between what Parliament wants and what the people of the UK voted for?
Well, the people voted 3 years ago now, yes, very narrowly, 37%, just 37% of the total British electorate voted to leave Europe after a campaign, worth pointing out, Bell, being investigated by criminal investigators here for corruption and fraud. Leave that to one side. Now every opinion poll shows, as Ty just pointed out, there's a majority to remain. All my life, I've seen votes happen, governments elected, and I had the right to oppose what those governments were and argue for a different outcome. So now I think it would be a good idea in due course, as soon as possible, to ask the British people again. But if Mrs May's not prepared to do that, nor really in truth is Jeremy Corbyn, so let's have a compromise. She's spent 2.5 years not talking to the nation. You know something? She has never once addressed the British people on television to set out what she's trying to do. She's not gone on a road tour like President Macron in France to talk to people. She's not talked to the trade unions, a quick meeting, not reached out to the opposition, to Scotland, to Wales, to the cities of England. So she's just playing this all in-house. And I think this is, I'm sorry, I don't criticise the Prime Minister for a very difficult job, but she is the author of her own misfortune. Today, she could offer a compromise. Stay in the customs union. That would bring Labour on board. Maybe go for the so-called Norway option. Leave the EU politically, treaty, but keep a full economic relationship with Europe. That would be accepted, I think, by a majority of people in the Commons. But no, it is my way or no way. And in January, majority of 230 say, sorry, Theresa, we're not with you. Last night, majority of 115.
Yeah, I think there's a problem when you talk about the polls, is that you can find as many opinion polls that will tell you that the vote, if it was rerun again today, would be just as close as it was the last time, and either side of that 50-50 margin. Let's talk about another kind of vote. If there were a general election now, would you welcome that? And do you think Labour could win?
I'm not sure that's the answer. I think probably we'd end up with the Parliament a bit like we have now, divided. I don't quite know when all the trouble that Jeremy Corbyn's faced over his own leadership, MPs quitting the Labour Party, the issue of anti-Semitism. I'm not sure you'd win many seats in Scotland, and Labour has never won a majority in England alone. So we could end up again with another chaotic divided Parliament. Look, we had one election.
But aren't you then essentially saying that it is for Theresa May to continue, because there is no credible alternative, no credible opposition leadership coming from the Labour Party? So the default is then for Theresa May to continue, as Stephen Barclay just said this morning.
That's in terms of who stays as Prime Minister. I don't object to a general election. I'm just making my political point. I'm not sure it would solve the problem. And I'm not sure Jeremy Corbyn has any coherent policy on Brexit either. That's what many people in this country think. So better for MPs, better indeed for Mrs May, to accept their responsibilities, alter course, search for a compromise inside the country, stop demanding that the EU 27 betray the peace process in Ireland by opening the withdrawal agreement, and come back quickly and say, here is a compromise, just staying in the customs union. I wrote that for Euractiv yesterday. Look at that. That would be one compromise that could change things quite quickly before.
Although we know that the We know that the hardline Brexiteer ERG group in the Conservative Party would never sign up to that, nor would the DUP, the Northern Irish Unionists. I'm really sorry to have to end it there. Mr. Go ahead.
Do support it. Forgive me. Yes, you'd have a minority of 100 Tory MPs who'd oppose it and anything. There are many more people that opposed Tony Blair over the Iraq War. In the Commons, you can't have unanimity. It's time for Theresa May to say to her 25-year-old, people fighting a 25-year-long campaign against Europe, grow up and retire. This nation doesn't want to abdicate itself to its partners in Europe.